By the way, I did not mean to, but I got dressed today and I was like, why am I giving like Southern Housewife vibes today?
Yeah,
when
you
we're
got
talking.
that. It's not bad though.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's not a bad thing for the
No,
pod.
but it's like I think I like love a themed situation so much that like I've subconsciously just started dressing in theme for my whole life.
I like that. It's like when I go to Alabama and I just all of a sudden have an Alabama accent. Just
Totally.
like immediately. Not even talking to someone.
Yeah, I started watching Premier League soccer and now like I use British phrases. So
What's
that
a
should
good
be
British?
that's gonna be
What's a good British phrase? Well, give me one.
well, one I can't say because if that ever gets out, my mom would kill me. It starts with a C, but
What? That's
I
I have no idea.
I think the other one's like grafting when you're like working hard. I didn't know that was like working hard to gain someone's affection.
Oh.
Grafting. I use bruv a lot as like a joke.
What is
Bruv. Bruv. Like
it? How do you
bruh.
spell it?
B-R-U-B, I guess. Bruv.
And what does that mean?
It's just like bruh.
Bruv?
Like, come on, bruh. Yeah, bruv.
I don't.
Like bro. You know how
understand. I get that part, but like, why the V? I get it. I
Bruv.
get it.
It's just
I'm
their accent.
questioning it. I'm just questioning.
Bruv. I use it a lot, actually. It's going to slip into the podcast at some point, but the weird dynamic between like Southern accent and then like British accent, just going to be a little weird this year. Not going to lie.
No, it's fair. It's fair. All right. We ready to do this?
Bruv.
Bruv. Let's go, bruv. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's a top 5 can crack. Cheers.
I was just going to say that was an excellent can crack.
Did you hear my childish response? Like,
Yeah,
wow, that's great.
we love
Sorry.
it.
Yeah.
So not so great was our podcast attempt of last week. We do need to discuss this with the people.
God.
We do have clips that thank you to producer Matt for like finding a way to get clips from that episode. We will post them. It's like pretty entertaining. But long story short, there was such a delay because my hotel Wi-Fi was so bad that like there was just no synergy. It was so clunky. And you guys know that we'll post pretty much anything because it's just very natural on our end. This was just we couldn't even put you through it. We really couldn't.
It's the delay was hilarious. And by the end of it, you would think that we would have got it down. No.
No.
We were really trying though.
We were.
It was not for lack of effort, but it was a challenge. You ate pizza. Like there was some it was so I wanted it to be so bad that it was good, but it was so bad that I just think it was bad. Like it was just bad. We were hoping that there would be content to emerge, and then our post-show meeting was like, let's just like never speak of this again, which we're doing
let's
immediately.
just never. Well, maybe like one time when there's like something very like a lull in time next off season, we'll be like, this is what we talked about, and it was pretty bad. But we do have a lot to talk about because it's talking season.
Yes, it is talking season. My level of fucks given, I say this like every media day things, is so low, but there is content coming from media days, SEC media days.
Yeah,
I do like the Nashville vibes. Seem good for
the
SEC
Nashville
media
vibes
days.
seem amazing. I've seen a lot of social media content. I'm kind of getting FOMO. I didn't think that I was going to get FOMO, but I definitely have some.
Yeah, so we enjoy it from afar, right?
Yes.
And I am enjoying it because football is coming. The most important thing to be said, of course, over the last couple of days is that Nick Saban is a fan of carrot cake. Now, first and foremost, thoughts on this. Very important.
Okay, yeah, this is probably the most important topic to discuss. I want to just preface this by saying I did not put this in the doc to discuss. This was Adam's idea. I didn't want to bring up Nick Saban, but here we are. And you know what? This is what I love to talk about.
Are you happy we are, though, that we've arrived
yes, here? We are.
It's fucking carrot cake.
First and foremost, I love cake. I don't know if I've had this discussion on this podcast. I think I've told you about this, my like obsession with cake. But I had like a weird conversation with my family, like probably over a year ago now, where I was like, what is it that you guys like think about like every day? Like, is there something that every day you think about? And I was like, yeah, cake. Like I legitimately think about cake every day because I love cake. So not only do I love cake, but I also very much love carrot cake. Love carrot cake. Top tier. There is a TikTok of this like man who's like a firefighter, and he's like, carrot cake? And like my family jokes that's me because I legitimately love carrot cake. When we had it for Easter, we had like the mini individual ones. Not even going to disclose how many I had, okay? Not even going to discuss it. We're just going to let it go. Carrot cake is a superior cake. Now, do I think it is the best cake of all? No, but I would say it's probably in my top 5 of cakes, probably top 3 of cakes. What's your cake take?
I'm not a carrot cake guy. Okay?
At all?
I'm not. I mean, no, I'm not really a cake guy. I've kind of come to terms with this like today, right? Like I'm realizing that I'm not much of a cake guy, and I'm here to say it. I'm tired of hiding from it.
What?
I
What about it don't you like?
I don't not like it. I first off, a good chocolate cake is just a very solid. But I'm not much of an ice. Here's what I want. I didn't want to take it here immediately, but I'm going to go here.
We're going here.
Give me a big brownie with a big scoop of vanilla ice cream. Like the classic dessert. That is so much better than a piece of fucking cake. That is so much better. I strongly
disagree. I cannot believe you're saying this. Brownies?
A quality... Yeah, like a brownie.
Is it that you're not an icing guy? Because I can get that.
No, I'm team icing. And look, I've got 3 kids. So I do this fucking cake thing a lot.
Okay. But time out on the kid cake thing. What kind of kid cake are we getting here? Is this like it's a priority and we make good cakes that are homemade or go to like a really good bakery? Or is this like we're picking up the sheet cake at the local grocery store?
First off, ice cream cake is disgusting. No, thank you. Not a big ice cream. It's cold.
Oh, you know what? I actually don't really love ice cream cake either because I love cake so much that I don't need the ice cream in it.
Yeah. I think ice cream cake you're trying to, right? Funfetti, I like. I'm a good funfetti cake guy. Like funfetti, like I eat like a child, but I just thought about this today, and I knew you would have problems with this take before I even unleashed it.
Because I'm pretty sure I told you about my cake obsession.
Just not you may have. This is not purposely trolling. I'm not trolling you. I just when he said carrot cake, I'm like, oh, carrot cake's fine. Like you give it on the table, I'll dabble with a little fork. You give me a fork, I'll try it. That's
cream
cool.
Cheese frosting.
I'm just not going to seek it out. I'm just not. Then you give me like a fucking chocolate brownie with a big scoop of ice cream on top, and the table will devour it much more than it'll devour carrot cake.
Okay, well, this is where we part ways. It's okay. I feel like you betrayed my trust, but it's okay. The more cake for me. You know what? Whatever. I don't care.
The other part of Saban, by the way, that was really funny when he talked about visiting Ferrari, which is like, this has got to be your content, like, right? Do you want to? You can take this. I will hand it to you.
For those who didn't watch or not watching on YouTube, I literally just like lost my mind physically because when Kramer said that, because I was going to bring it up, he was talking about Ferrari. So I do know that he has 2 Ferraris at home. I've seen pictures of them, and I knew he was in Italy, and I heard that people were saying Roll Tide to him. Okay, I didn't know he went on a tour of the Ferrari factory. Okay. There may have been text messages exchanged where I was like, if Nick ever wants to go to a Ferrari to an F1 race with Ferrari, I would like to be invited because I feel like that's just like a bond we have. That and carrot cake. I think we're the same person basically. You know, besides like all the championships and accolades and being the GOAT and stuff.
And Alabama football.
Yeah, like yes. I think genuinely we are the same person at this point. So that's fair. I also like rants too, so I think we certainly have a lot in common. But yeah, it was basically like a full page content thing of like Ferrari, cake, and football, college football. Roll Tide.
That is true though. I mean, this is like, that is positioned, like that is Team Paige right there.
Yeah.
For like, I'll say this. Cake is, I like hearing from Nick Saban. I really do. And I can't wait till he bites somebody's fucking head off at that first post-practice press conference when someone asked about the starting quarterback? Did anyone ask that? They had to ask that. And did he get pissed off?
No,
Did
I
you
think
see
he
it
got
all?
ahead of it. I think he got ahead of it, but I will say I was surprised that Paul Feinbaum had made some comments before Nick arrived in Nashville about his legacy. Did
Yeah,
you
I
hear
would like
these?
to talk about this, by the way.
Okay.
Yes, go there. Please
So
go there.
I want to talk about this because it was so annoyingly clickbaity in the sense of like, it was just to make Alabama fans upset. Like, he starts by saying like, yeah, this guy's won like all these championships in this many years, and he's, but his legacy is in question because he hasn't, he lost a national championship, missed the playoff last year. And that's like, you realize it's more successful than 95% of all programs, not even just like individual coaches, to have like 6 and 16 years. That's insane. So first of all, what? And like, he went on this like whole rant about his legacy. Then today I saw Saban was there and he was talking on Feinbaum, and he asked him a question about the rat poison, and Nick did not look him in the eye, and I think that was on purpose because like I would not look that guy in the eye either. But what are your takes from a non-biased perspective, like to say, okay, yeah, obviously he's great, but his legacy is in question? Like, I don't know if legacy was the right word, but what do you think the like situation is there? What would your take be on that?
I think it's a very dumb thing to say. I think that you can look at Nick Saban's body of work and very definitively say the legacy is massive in nature, and nothing that he does from this point forward is going to change that.
Yes.
He can add to it. He can add to it. If they win another national championship, you could say, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. And frankly, right now, I don't know if I do. And I'm not even saying that as a knock. There's no question he can cement, he could build layers on top of this. That is such a dumb fucking thing to say. Like, that is an exhaustingly stupid spring media day, whatever, summer media. It's infuriating, honestly, that's the opinion that you're going to think that somehow we're going to like that if he doesn't win. And by the way, it's not like they're bad. They're like on the verge of the playoff. And that's what we're going to say, like, oh boy. And the other thing though, Paige, like, we're talking about like two different things. We're talking about like the Saban thing and the Georgia thing, right? We're talking about Georgia, we're talking about Alabama. We can have two separate conversations. You can say, hey, if Georgia wins another one, Kirby Smart, he's on this fast track to like college football league, which he's probably there already. We can have a conversation about that. We can also acknowledge that, like, frankly, without Nick Saban, there is no Kirby Smart.
Right.
And without Alabama's blueprint, there is no Georgia blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a hot take at all. So this is why Media Days pisses me off, is because of stuff like this that we like can't help ourselves. I can't help but get angry about.
Exactly. And like, I give us the cake content and the funny stuff. One thing I do want to say is, can we please do away with coach intros when they go up to the podium? If I have to listen to another coach give me a 10-minute long, I think Kirby made fun of somebody and called it like a filibuster. If I have to listen to a 10-minute long like discussion of just them putting stuff out, like, my wife and I went on our vacation and we usually have it come, this is my 6th media day as a head coach, blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean to be picking on Billy Napier because that was his lead into his speech today, but it's the most fresh in my mind because I just watched it. But I stop. I don't want to hear 10 minutes of you talking about like the state of your program. Like, let's just get to the people asking you, like, about carrot cake, or the very niche, beat reporter who's asking you very specific about your middle linebackers. Like, I want to get to that part. I don't need the coach like sitting there rambling for 10 minutes that's been prepared for him by somebody else.
Yes, I think that Media Days is about stupid, charming quotes, and
yes,
let's just get to them, right? Like, it's tough. If you're a guy like Billy Napier, you know that you're going to be asked about like
your defense,
hot seat related things, right? Like, hey, how are you going to keep your job?
Yeah.
So I understand a coach wanted to do it, but I agree with you. It's a quality tactic to kill time. Like, just sit on the football, right?
Totally. Yeah, I would appreciate like like some coaches getting ahead, like you said, like when, you know what they're going to ask you about, like hot seat, or, if you're Lincoln Riley at Pac-12 Media Days, I'm sure you're preparing for questions about defense. Same with Napier. Like, you want to get ahead of it and be like, oh, we're working on this. We brought in this, blah, 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 whatever. It's so boring to me having them just say it. I wonder, I'm like, hey, props to the media people that are willing to say some of the funniest things to these people during these like pressers, especially at SEC Media Days. It gets weird. I don't know if you saw, but somebody asked Sam Pittman about beer, like a certain type of beer, and I don't know what it was. And he's like, that one makes me burp.
Yeah. Guys,
I love him.
great.
I forgot, like, I don't forget, but like, there's just so much like Looney Tune-ness in the SEC that I sort of like forgot how like just lovable and charming he is. And like, I don't know if you saw the hog statue outside of his house. Like, I love him. I love him so much.
I do too. I was starting to work through my power rankings, by the way, my initial ones, and I have a hard time ranking them. It's really hard doing this. I forgot how hard it was to do this shit. They're a tough team. Their schedule sucks per usual, and it's gonna, even though they're getting some good breaks finally in the future, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah,
they're gonna win 7 or 8 games. They're gonna lose a game they shouldn't. They're gonna win a game they shouldn't.
Someone said to him in like asking him a question about like their tough schedule, and was like, you've always said you guys have the toughest schedule and you're about to three-peat, which is like so true. Like, why? Poor Arkansas. I feel bad. Like, you're about to three-peat on that. Yeah, exactly. Forget Georgia and that three-peat. Let's talk about this.
I do want to talk about the Georgia Kirby Smart. Like there's a couple of things that he said. It's been a really weird offseason for them, and it's sad. And you have the speeding tickets, and then you have the number one team in the country trying to three-peat with a schedule, frankly, that's very three-peatable. But I really enjoy hearing him talk about how he's doing this and why he's doing it, because it's got a very Saban vibe to it. And I think when he talks about, there's 2 things that I found interesting.
Okay.
He says, I don't care about the three-peat or the two-peat. I care about complacency. And I think the most incredible thing that I think they've been able to do, and we've seen this with Saban, how hard it is to win, is to build a roster of players that, is able to reboot after the previous year. I think they lost so many pieces last year, right? Heading into last season, look at that defense, to Kobe Dean, and all those pieces that they lost. George Pickett, like all these guys. And I think that helped them because it was like kind of a clean slate. This year, it's kind of the opposite. You've got a new quarterback. We can talk about that in a sec.
Yes.
You've got Brock Bowers. You've got all these guys that were contributors, and you've got these huge recruiting classes. And so if there is a slip up, it feels like this is the kind of year. That is a fascinating battle of the elite. Like that is a fascinating internal struggle to me.
It's a problem you want to have, obviously.
It is a problem. But it is a rich program's problem.
Yes.
But it is still a fascinating struggle that for somebody has to lead, I'm just fascinated by, because it cannot be easy. Granted, Paige, it's Billy Napier. Hey, Billy, you want this problem? He'd be like, fuck yeah, buddy. Like, sign me up. But it is still a problem nonetheless.
It's funny that you said it was a Saban type thing, because the rat poison question I mentioned earlier was basically like, Alabama players have been saying that they're like, people are sleeping on them. They're essentially doubting them. Okay. And that's not something they've had before or often. And Saban brought up the complacency of like maybe the last couple of years and like just riding on the fact that you're Alabama and that you're going to get into the college football playoff and, not winning those games or having games be tight against other opponents that you normally don't have that issue with, and you're not steamrolling everybody and playing murder ball like you're used to. So it is very similar to that. What I find funny and ironic about it is that that term has now been turned into kind of how Kirby is acting towards some of the off the field issues that his, program has seen. And I do have to say that to me is very anti-Saban, because there would not be a world where and I'm not saying that this is like all Kirby's responsibility, because I understand these are kids and you're dealing with that, but there is a little bit of like, do you have control over some of the issues in your program? And that can seep into situations where it causes problems on the field. There hasn't been any disciplinary. And by the way, these aren't just like speeding tickets. This is like reckless driving, especially after like a fatal incident involving Georgia's program. It's actually just, it seems very odd that there's not, I don't think there's been any like discipline yet. I think they're thinking about that, but like some of their really good players could end up being disciplined for some of this stuff early in the season. And yes, of course, it's not going to affect them like long term or making the playoff, but it's kind of serious to, especially when you're trying to start off on the right foot and you are going into that three-peat, you are going to have a new quarterback. It is all going to hinge on that because he's got pieces everywhere else. But yeah, it seemed a little odd because Kirby's been such a darling for everybody that I feel like there is a lot of conversation amongst media about sort of how this offseason has been handled.
It's also to find a parallel with everything going on in Northwestern, right? And these two things are very, very different. So let's like acknowledge that.
Yes.
But it also speaks to the role of the head football coach. This is the CEO of a football program and one of the most important people at the university. Yeah, I think it honestly for a lot of these schools, given the revenue a guy like Kirby Smart or Nick Saban generates, they are more than just the guy that leads the team. They are the cash cow, right? So it does speak to like how much involvement, how much responsibility does Kirby Smart bear in this? And I think the answer is all of it, right?
Yeah.
Like now, that's not to say Kirby Smart should know how fast a player is driving at all hours. But ultimately, when you're assigned this role, it does kind of become your job, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, Northwestern different, completely different, but
totally different.
We're trying to figure out how to place the blame here with Pat Fitzgerald or other coaches, and that's the job. That is part of this really difficult job.
And you just hit it completely. It's difficult. It is so hard. It is not an easy task. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you should fully have control and you should be punishing left and right. It's a hard balance to work, but also like we've seen, it get out of hand and what that can do to a program. We've seen issues happen and programs fix it. It's such a delicate battle, especially with those are two very different things that, those schools and programs are dealing with. But like you said, head coach, there's a lot more to it and it is a very difficult job. So I do want to acknowledge that fact. But like, it does seem like maybe Kirby is being a little complacent with some of this stuff because of this. And also that we've talked about this all the time comes with the success of it. You've won 2 national championships. Like, the hammer's not going to be as hard on you when you're not doing that, but it could slip out of hand pretty quickly.
While it is his responsibility, it's also a little bit unfair, and those two things counter each other. Yeah, because you are in charge of so many people from so many different backgrounds that are making these split decisions as they come. That is a job. Kirby Smart makes $10 or $11 million a year, so everybody like that is a job. There's a weight to that is like unimaginable. Quite frankly, of trying to manage what he does. Totally. He has been, to your original point, it's been covered weirdly, right? Before we're coming on here, we see that the local paper issued a contract, fired somebody and issued an apology for how they've covered Georgia. Like, this whole offseason has been strange. And if you want to try to find a hole in what Georgia's doing, it has not been a good offseason. It has not been, it has been disruptive. It's been strange. Will that have an impact on the field? Like, I have no idea, but there are some really weird vibes, albeit very successful ones surrounding this football program now.
Yeah, it's very odd. But he did mention that Carson Beck is the front runner for starting quarterback for them.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
I keep forgetting that like we're getting a lot of not first-time quarterbacks, but a lot of like new faces in new places. And I mean, a lot of the sport does hinge on that and the success of that. Curious what your thoughts were on his quarterback takes.
I'm surprised he said anything, first of all. That maybe was the biggest surprise. It'd be very much like him to say, we'll see. But he did say, hey, here's the leader of the clubhouse. And I'm curious, like, did you find that surprising? Because I was like, I expected a nothing burger out of this, but the Beck has been the guy we've been sort of assuming would be this person. No, like that's kind of how I'm not shocked by this, other than we got some feedback, which is more than we normally get.
because we saw him when, things were getting out of hand, even at the national championship. So we've seen, reps from him in real time since Georgia's blowing past everybody. But yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes and how that transition is, because it is difficult. And there hasn't been a three-peat. I think they said since Minnesota in 1930 something. So
what's
insane.
What's really interesting, by the way, is I just went to look at Heisman odds.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this early in the offseason, pick a quarterback, any quarterback, whether it's Alabama or Georgia or even Ohio State. If you have a feel for a guy, get him before it's announced, and you can get great odds. There are no Heisman odds currently up. And I can't speak to exactly why, but I will bet you that Kirby's comment has changed that, because the moment he names a starter, that quarterback has to become one of the top 5 favorites. Yes, because it's the best team in football and Brock Bowers, etc. So
I was just going to say, I will always put money on Brock Bowers.
I know. And I this is the first time in a long time. Make sure I'm reading this right, because I'm probably doing something stupid. I don't think I am for once. No, there are no, at least on DraftKings, there are no current Heisman odds, which is interesting. But, nonetheless, they will be back. Hugh Freeze. First off, what I'm doing...
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, why are you laughing, first of all?
I'm laughing because we were just talking about things being covered weirdly, and Hugh Freeze, I think, had as successful of a media day as you can have coming back to the SEC since leaving in sort of an interesting manner from Ole Miss years ago.
One way to put it.
Yeah, yes. But I mean, it seemed like he kind of it went really well, all things considered. I thought it was going to be a little bit more brutal for him. I think it could be throughout the season, depending on how well they do. That stuff comes up. That's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But I thought it was very normal. It was more normal than I kind of expected for him for this media day.
Well, and there's two parts of this that I'm fascinated by. We spent months digesting the hire from a moral standpoint and gross, right? That was the collective, are you serious?
Yeah.
Now that it's here, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel that way, not you, but collectively we shouldn't feel however we feel about this thing.
Okay.
But you actually think about the fit. And you're like,
yeah,
football-wise, this is actually be pretty good. If I, now again, I gotta different distance myself from it, but again, I go back to doing these power rankings. I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn is way better than we think.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? And so it's funny when I hear him talking about 2 quarterbacks, which I think is hilarious. Robbie Ashford and then Peyton Thorne from Michigan State, who's had some really good moments. And I do think it's funny though that he's for this. He thinks that this is great. We could do it this way. First off, this will be the last time that Hugh Freeze ever says let's play 2 quarterbacks, right? That is what the incoming coach inheriting these QBs does. He never wants to speak this ever again. But collectively, do I think that could work? And do I think they could be better? He's still a pain in Nick Saban's ass, like he is. And I don't know. I don't know what to think of them other than I am very curious. This is a roster that has some talent, and actually the quarterbacks are pretty interesting. No matter what he says, he does not want to be playing 2 of them. And yet this is a team I feel like we've completely ignored because the hire itself got so much coverage, we sort of just stopped talking.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's very interesting. Like you said, he doesn't want to be saying this, but here we are in talking season. Come, mid-October, there's going to be 1 guy. They're not going to be playing 2. He just needs to see them. He needs more time. He needs more time. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
good for him.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
good for him.
It's no, guys, seriously,
to
it
be
can
fair,
work.
At least he didn't give us a nothing burger. You know what I mean? I love that phrase.
And I do think it is a great phrase. I think he did he has acknowledged stuff. Whether you believe him or not, whatever, that's again a different story entirely. But he's kind of confronted everything head on.
Yeah,
and
which I appreciate.
You know what? Well, I do too.
Yeah, I appreciate just you know what, it is what it is. Let's move forward.
Mm-hmm. Now we got to switch conferences, and specifically we got to go Yeah.
To your conference. It's not mine. Don't even call it my conference.
My adopt-a conference is definitely the Pac-12. But it is your conference, at least for the time being.
Yes.
And what is going on with this TV rights deal?
This is a nothing burger. Again, here we go with a nothing burger. Pac-12 sources say, in the near future, we're going to find out what this TV rights deal is. And also, I just don't care. It's not going to make any of this better. The 10 teams that are left are going to get screwed, and they're all going to leave. I have no hope.
So, okay, that's darker than I thought it would be. But fine, I'm in.
You're like, wow, that took a turn for the worst.
So they have their media days coming up.
Yes,
and they're not going to announce it there. It feels like we've been reading this headline for a year more. I don't know.
Yes,
and it does feel like this is a really tough evaluation. Now, I did see in some of the reporting, and I forget who it was, that maybe new potential fits were coming back to the table. And I don't know how real that was. And maybe that's ESPN. Who knows what it is? It's going to be a mix of streaming and television, blah, 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 blah. So you would think there's only a couple of different networks that would be in on this. Now, I'm going to go the other side. I think this is a great buy. You're not going to be paying premium dollar for the Pac-12. That's fine.
Yes.
But there is a cult-like following and a late-night TV ownership that I still think works incredibly well because we're a bunch of fucking degenerates.
So
first off,
yes,
I want this to be a good deal for your conference. Is what I'm saying. I want this to go well.
I was speaking from a strictly school perspective and program perspective of
yes,
we're screwed and this isn't going to be great from a TV rights deal. And if I'm in streaming, I'm buying low because you just said, there's a whole bunch of degenerates out there. Ooh. Words are hard.
All right.
That are going to watch on Friday nights that are, insane psychos. So you know what? If I was, Amazon Prime or, Apple TV, I would maybe dip my toe in it on the streaming side because you're going to get a very niche fan base and it's going to be worth it. But yeah, in terms of teams and what they're going to get for this stuff, it's going to be tough. So I can see. And I find it interesting too that they've waited so long to do this. It feels like odd timing to announce it, maybe when there's not a lot of time for other people to be moving around. So if the offer is bad and you're not going to get a huge slice of the pie, there's a lot of other conferences that have discussed realignment. Summer is usually the time for those things to kind of come about. So I feel like they're almost trapping the Pac-12 teams. Is it going to be the Pac-10? Have they addressed that yet?
No, they haven't. That would be so weird. It took forever to say 12. But I do, the quote, this is from ESPN and I think Heather Dinich. But it says, our 10 schools have been ridiculously patient. This is from a source. That patience is about to pay off. Is it though?
Is it?
Is it?
It better be good. It better be sweet. I will come on here and apologize. I will apologize and apologize. I will, but
I will look. I don't know what's going to happen, but there are a lot of programs left in that conference that are very intriguing to me, and I love my late night degenerate football. I don't want it to be fucked with.
I love it. I'm just bitter and angry because it's just frustrating to be the butt of every joke. I'm tired of it.
You're not. Look, we have Pac-12 synergy on this podcast. Okay. And when we start previewing conferences, which I think we have to do soon, I was watching ESPN the other night and there were 6 weeks to football. Holy shit, gotta get ready. Oh God, terrifying. That's real. It's actually happening. So we kind of have to
figure it
start making picks. Texas, by the way.
Oh gosh.
Here
we go again.
Oh yeah. It's just firing up. Choo-choo, it's going to go bad, but I think I'm committing to the bit here, Paige. I'm just a little preview.
I love how, of all the teams and programs for you to hop on bandwagons, you've chosen Texas and Michigan.
Literally the ones that are going to hurt me the worst, and that will be the most painful, right? You pick Washington this year, and you're yeah, okay, good try. That was cute. But you pick Texas, and it's it's not going to go well.
No.
And I'm not fully there yet, but I'm really...
You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
I am. San Diego State, drinking the Kool-Aid. I find this story hilarious. So San Diego State is remaining in the Mountain West. They've settled their disputes. San Diego State was going to withdrawal. Conference basically said, you can't do that. They were going to withhold basically their payouts for this. And they're essentially finding a middle ground that San Diego State has to pay for the legal fees, etc.
Yeah.
So I used it on Twitter. I'll use it here. This is like, let's not get divorced. Let's have a baby. Right? That's what San Diego State.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't see that on Twitter. That is wonderful. And also the other part of this report too is that they at San Diego State was waiting for the Pac-12 deal to see like what the situation was going to be there. And I just find it like hilarious that like the Pac-12 is like, no, we're good at San Diego State. It's like, all right, that's kind of sucks. That probably would have been good to bring them in. But yeah, this feels a little awkward. It's like you nailed it. There's nothing else I can say to make that better.
Like this is a sign though of college athletics too, right? Like this chicken is gonna be this is what happens.
We've talked about it, the Spider-Man meme of like everybody pointing. Yeah.
But like San Diego State was close to being in a really shit position. Like a really shit position. And contractually on the hook for all these things. They asked for an extension, and I would love to know the back channel conversation that led to this resolution, because I think they would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't remember this. This is a new one from a realignment standpoint, like a hug it out. Just hug it out. Pay $100,000 in legal fees. Hug it out.
Yeah. We'll stick to it. Something I found interesting was Sankey saying at SEC Media Days that he's good with just 16 teams, which like in my mind, I took that as they will kick people out and bring people. They don't want to do more than 16. My mind is like, wait, immediate to that people are going to get relegated and this is the best. Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited. Like, this could turn into like the gauntlet of joining. Like, they could set like a number at these conferences and have like the power, we have the power 5, but the power 3 is basically what we're going to get in super conferences and like just battle it out. Like, I love this. That's what I took away from that, even though that's like such a far-fetched idea.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny.
Part of me is like that a lot of the ideas that are happening in college football right now were far-fetched, and here we are. So, I'm going to stick with that one.
I actually agree with you, because he didn't say like we love what we have.
Yeah.
We love our current members. We love our current. It's not we're good with 16.
Oh, we're good with 16. Mm-hmm.
And if you're like
Vanderbilt,
I guess you're like go like but yes, he's very tactical.
Missouri,
too.
Like you're worried.
Missouri,
you're worried.
Yeah. You're like, yay. You got Florida State and Clemson, little trade out. He is very measured in what he says, so I kind of like your approach on this. That if we're heading that way, deep down, you and I are both excited.
I can't wait.
So that is
it'll be really hard.
Outstanding.
It will make our jobs a lot harder to cover this sport, because then we'll just never sleep and never have an off season. But I'm here for it.
The quarterback doc on Netflix, I have not watched yet. It's been a busy week. So first and foremost, are you into it? Are you in now?
So full disclosure, I've not finished the first season. I've seen like 3 episodes, I think. I think it's terrible. Not okay. I shouldn't say I think it's terrible. I just think it's very cookie cutter, because it's produced by NFL Films and Omaha Productions, which is obviously the Mannings. And it's just very cookie cutter. Like, I think when I think Netflix doc, I think we're going to get a little bit more than what we already see on like Hard Knocks, or just in like NFL film stuff in general, if you follow their content during the year. This felt very like promotional of the quarterback position, and like here and there touched on like little bits and pieces that could have been deep but aren't. So like, for example, Kirk Cousins like meets with a psychologist, and like we get a clip of him talking to him about maybe some of the hard stuff, and you realize it's like this is a setup clip of them talking and then closed doors, and then they're really going to have the like deep conversation that they are going to have. Not saying we need to sit in on his therapy session, but I think just going into it a little bit more, this very much like the documentary starts off with Peyton Manning talking about how like the most difficult position in the entire world of sports is the quarterback. So it just felt very like, feel bad for quarterbacks and, this is really difficult. And to be fair, that is valid, okay? But we all know that already. Like, there's nothing new in it. And I think they chose very different guys. So that's the one thing I will say is I did enjoy like the different like mindsets and attitudes that each of the quarterbacks had, because like Pat Mahomes, you get like the more cocky, the more like outspoken and kind of just like having a great time, like, and then you've got like the Kirk Cousins who like it hasn't been the easiest of roads and he's had his ups and downs and people make fun of him because he's like full dad, and that very much shows in this documentary. And then you got a Marcus Mariota who like even mentions like he considered even continuing playing football at all. I'm like, I wish we would have gotten more into that, and I actually don't know if we do or not later in the episode. So if you're listening to this and you've seen all of it and you're like, oh, they do get into that, great. But I think the first like 3 episodes for me just felt very like it wasn't deep enough. It just felt like a promotional thing. It wasn't like them really digging deep on anything.
Well, because Hard Knocks gets into at least a little bit how the sausage is made. Like you start to see a little bit. I will say though, next season, I haven't watched it yet, but they're doing a season 2 already.
Yes.
Joe Burrow, obviously, it needs to be on that. Like, right? Like, I'm speaking for me and for you, Jody.
Yes.
I'd love Jordan Love on there. I would love to see.
That would be a great one.
What is that dude going to go through? And then I'd love, like, Bryce Young. I'd love a rookie, which they'll never do. But I'd love to see the...
I'd like to see that or, like, an Andy Dalton. Where, like, it's, like...
Yes.
A guy who's been the guy, a guy who hasn't been the guy, a guy who's going to back up the guy. Like, I want someone like that. Because I also find, like, he's not a career backup. People are going to come for me. But I want to see, like, guys that are, like, not the stars having conversations about this.
Andy Dalton, if you say career backup, people would be like, okay. Like, they're not going to be bad.
But there are some people that would. But no, I agree with you. I think Jordan Love would be an absolutely interesting one. When I was thinking of next season, I didn't even consider him, but that is the kind of stuff I want to see, is like stuff we haven't seen before, the conversations we haven't heard before. Like, this felt very like, okay, cool. But I will say, like, I'm gonna watch all of it. That's the thing, is like I'm a sucker for this kind of content, because I think what I enjoyed most about it was just like going through some of the games from last season. That was like the highlight for me, was like when they're talking through games during the season. Like, I'd much rather that just be the whole entire thing, as opposed to them trying to like dig into their personal life but barely digging into it a little bit. I felt like I would have been fine if we just, followed quarterbacks throughout the year and they just sat and told us about what they were thinking each game. I will say Patrick Mahomes, like, shit talking is hilarious. Like, I love him because he sounds like Kermit the Frog, and he just can talk that shit, which is so great. He can
talk that shit. Yes.
He can. He totally can. He backs it up, so he can.
That's amazing. No, he really can talk that shit.
Yeah, but I would say in terms of reviews, not great on my end. And I'm the sports documentary queen. This is not a 10 out of 10 for me.
Makes me not want to watch it. I will.
No, you will, though. You will. Like, I want you to watch it because, like, there's little bits and pieces in there that are good, but it's overall, it's like, there's an influencer. Her name's Tinks. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
But she talks about, like, if something is, like, what level, like, phone distraction it is. So, like, what's the level you'll, like, be on your phone and it's, like, on in the background. I would say it's, like, a 5. Like, it's, like, 50-50 whether I'm going to be looking at my phone or actually watching.
Jets reported today, by the way. Hard Knocks season is here.
Hard Knocks. Official.
I'm excited for that. I am too. It'll be interesting. I mean, Quentin Williams is hilarious. Just show him the whole time. Like, that dude is hysterical.
What did he say during the draft process? And he was like, never mind.
Oh my God.
I forget what it was, but it was that video was so funny. He's like, you're not going to get me.
When I did the Tua profile, and I was down in Alabama with Tua for, I think it was like a couple of days with BR. Like, Quentin was like alongside, and I wish I could remember, because we're just sitting there talking, and it was, I remember telling you this, like how funny this dude is, like walking in and just like, I mean, he is just like a natural comedian. It's crazy. He's still just 25. It'll be fun. Like, I am excited. Like, my Jets, like, the fact that they reported today, like, got some feels about that. I'm ready for football.
I am too. I've gotten like hyped in the last like week. I'm like ready for football to start.
I am too. So, would you like to hear some Vegas escapades?
Yes,
Vegas story.
we didn't get to. So we did talk a little Vegas on the episode that's just in the abyss.
Oh, that's right.
So people don't know that you did in fact go to Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. So yes, I was in Vegas. Golden Tee World Championship. It was awesome. It was fun. It was exhausting. It was all those things. I did commentary. My voice is recovering. I did about 13 hours of commentary, so I'm still on the struggle bus. But 3-card poker, which I think we talked about, is like my game. I love 3-card poker. It is a very dumb game because you get 3 cards, and then you're pretty much like, did I do well or not? I had one of the strangest table situations I've ever had.
Okay.
Playing at a table. Vibes are great, right? Table chi is very important to me, okay?
Table
Vegas,
chi.
any key. You got to be with people that you like. Because if you're miserable, okay, just get up and walk away and do something else, okay? I've sat next to too many crab-ass shitheads that, like, I'm not doing it anymore. So drinks are flowing, vibes are good, I'm losing money. That's okay. I'm happy, and it's a good table. The dealer is funny. You get 3 cards in 3-card poker. There's all these different bonuses you could play. I'm playing all of them, and the dealer says, "Hey, look blind. Like, I don't even look at your chips. Look blind." And I said, "Sure." I don't like doing that, but dealer flips over 2 5s. He looks at my cards and he starts laughing. I have 2 5s. This is a very nice win.
Yeah,
I forget what it is. I think it's 50-1, right? So this is a good hundreds of dollars. Celebrating, having a good time. I will not say where I'm playing to, just to keep this. I'm talking to friends. Drinks are flowing. Somebody says something to the dealer behind the table. It's like a fellow dealer about the way that he dealt me my chips. And the guy lost his mind. Dealer on dealer fighting. I have, like Jerry Maguire,
what?
Like the freak out.
Yeah.
The middle of so I'm waiting for my chips, right? I'm having a good time. In the middle of the casino, the guy's like, "I hate this fucking job," and he just starts. I mean, like a fuse like that.
Was this your dealer that was getting so upset?
It was my dealer who was great, and like somebody, like the other dealer, said something to him, and he just lost his mind.
No.
And it was like a 5 to 10 minute. It was to a point where I was going to get up and like intervene if it was going to get like weird. And like a friend of mine puts his hands on my shoulders, like, "Hey, buddy, this probably ain't your thing, right?"
Yes.
I'm just there to help.
Well, did you get your chips first and foremost?
Well, here's the thing. So they pay out, and he gets carried out of there by security. Like, he gets walked out. And as he's walking out, I just hand him like $50. I'm like, great hand. Like, great hand. I've never seen it. So here's what happens. Replacement dealer comes in. Nice lady. The table is shook. 2 hands later, I get 3
stayed at the table?
Oh, fuck yeah. I was hot. 2 hands later, I get 3 7s. 40-1. Like another is $600. Right? And so I'm like, oh my God, this is it. They shut down the table after the next hand. They shut it down. They said they didn't have a dealer, but like, we're winning money. It starts to turn. This guy just got carried out of there. And then they shut down the table. And I just like had this money, and I like went to the bar, and I'm like, what did I just witness?
What just happened?
What just happened? I've never seen a dealer create a scene. I've seen people are wonderful at making scenes. Patrons make scenes constantly. And then everyone in like attendance was just speechless. It was wild. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, and he did. He pulled the half bake, like the fuck you, you're cool. Like that was like he was there, right? He was there. Like that was. It was a good rant.
Somebody has to have. I'm gonna search TikTok high and low. Somebody has to have video of this.
It was.
That's
it was
insane.
Pretty wild. It was pretty wild.
I mean, good for you though. Good for you.
Yeah, it was good. And then it just like I had to go to bed. I was like exhausted.
Oh, that sounds like an emotionally traumatizing experience.
But it was great. So Vegas was good. It was so hot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
118 degrees. It's insane.
I mean, yeah, I was in New York and it was like humid and warm, and I was like, I can't do this.
No, it was
humidity.
nuts, but I had a good time.
That's a dry heat.
Yes, it's very good to be back. So how was New York?
It was wonderful. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I love being there. I was there for a whole week. But like I said, storm-wise, kind of nuts. There was like a lot of people had trouble getting in and out. Luckily, knock on whatever, I just have the best luck when it comes to travel on those things, and did not have any delays or cancellations. But it was pretty awesome. Not gonna lie, I love it there. Had a little BR summit behind the curtain. You know, we got to get stuff planning for football season. So yeah,
Jobs,
we all met in one place in New York. Yeah, I was doing work most of the time. Still enjoyed myself though, because the city never sleeps.
Where did you eat pizza from?
I had pizza from 2 different places. Prince Street Pizza and actually no, just Prince Street this time. But John's Bleecker is my favorite. But Prince Street Pizza's Prince Street is my favorite.
The best.
But that's the one that I got on the podcast. My brother delivered it to my room while we were recording. So I think I have a clip of that. I'll post it maybe sometime this week.
Yes. No, it's that's awesome. I'm jealous about the pizza. In fact, that was a great part of our episode that will maybe partially see the light of day.
Yeah, so, maybe at some point.
That's wonderful. Anything else?
No, the only other thing they got was on the last episode that didn't make it out to the public was that Daniel Ricciardo is returning to the F1 grid, and I just have to say and acknowledge that for my 3 F1 listeners of this podcast, that I'm very excited and I can't wait for Hungry this week.
Yes, my only other thing, it's Vegas related. I was in Old Vegas for the first time forever. My hotel room looked at the swim up Circa. So I could wake up and drink coffee and look out my window and watch Wimbledon on the
That's amazing.
Up.
By the way,
it was.
I won big on the semifinals and then I lost in the finals, which made me sad.
Well, that's what we do though. It's like the up and down roller coaster. That's why it's interesting. Yeah, buddy, it's almost flipped. In fact, after this pod, we got shit to talk about. We got things to get ready for. We got some actual football
work to do.
So let's cut it short. Let's go talk about work, because people here will certainly hopefully benefit from it. For Paige, I am Adam. We will talk to you guys next week.